update on the status of Council District.
Real brief, because I know you're going to get a great presentation. We had seen this in our informal session. Good to see you out here this morning. Thank you for taking time away from your family. Appreciate it. And it was very informative. A lot of questions on what's going to happen with the vacated Virginia Beach District seat, which is vacated as of Friday. The normal process became first, the city charter specifies a very clean process by which that happens. The city council of 10 will, within the next 45 days, has to appoint someone. If we fail to appoint someone, the senior judge of the circuit court will appoint someone. So obviously we're not going to let that happen, as you can imagine. The normal process that we have followed, and this is an assumption that we will follow it, we haven't yet got together as a body, is that generally we ask people to self-nominate. We then ask them to file, some information about themselves. We generally have a forum where they come before city council in the chambers. You probably all have seen this before. They can talk a little bit about themselves. There's some questions. We then find the appropriate time to go into executive session. You wait for the white smoke to come out of the chimney.
Fire department shows up.
And the names of the person selected is then done. What we generally try to do in executive session, it may not be unanimous in terms of what we our inclinations are, because we do not vote in executive session. But generally speaking, we generally come out and do unanimous support, but that's not a given. But that's the process. And the first opportunity that council will have to discuss that will probably be the 19th, because I'm sure, because we're having just an informal workshop on the 12th, and I didn't see that on the agenda, and we can't, so we have an executive session, and you can't discuss the process in executive session either. So that's the timeline. So if you count, it's probably 45 days from the day the judgment is entered, because that's the official decision. So it's probably 45 days from that. So I think they're planning on doing that early next week, but whatever that date is, just go 45 calendar dates out and council. So we'll be doing the budget, and we'll be doing a council appointment at the same time. You couldn't ask for a perfect storm. But nonetheless, it's a very professional group. Just one last thing I'll say, it was enjoyable working with Mr. Nygaard when he was on there. He certainly brought a fresh perspective that was very enjoyable. And anytime someone serves in public service, there's always a sacrifice of some sort of family, and that should be acknowledged. And but justice is justice, and that's how we work. Nation of laws are the people. So I think the process has been served, and that's it. And I'm going off to my elderly mother, and we'll all have one, and one day we'll all be there. And thank you so much for letting me have a few moments, Brian, and the rest of everything on your presentation. You did a great job.
Thank you, John. We always enjoy hearing from John. I'm delighted to have as our guest speaker Mr. Michael Mundy. He graduated from North Carolina State University in 1988 with a Bachelor of Science in Engineering, and he's worked in the private sector for land development for 15 years prior to joining Virginia Beach in 1993. He is a registered professional engineer in the Commonwealth of Virginia and in the Water Resource Program Manager, and is the Water Resource Program Manager for the City of Virginia Beach Department of Public Works. Mr. Mundy has been a member of the Stormwater Division in the City of Virginia Beach for the past 15 years. Now, as has been our practice, please use the 3x5 cards to write down any questions that you have during the presentation so that we can allow the entire presentation to go forward and before we open the floor to questions. So we'd appreciate if you could do that. All right, thank you, Mr. Mundy.
That's all. Thank you. The floor was open for me, so I went ahead and took about 5 or 6 different presentations and merged the slides together to give you a little taste of stormwater, because usually we get asked to come out to talk about a specific item or a specific neighborhood or that. So you guys said you wanted just an overall on stormwater, so I'll get into talking about our operations, about our water quality, about our flood control. I grabbed a few slides from our sea level rise portion, flood control, so our sea level rise at the end too, so I'll merge those in. So let's see how it goes and keep things moving. So And hopefully you can see this. This is just off of one of the recent ones we showed council, but this is how much infrastructure is out there. So you got about 550 miles of roadside and 152 of off-road ditches, 61 canals, 1,100 miles of stormwater pipe. I won't read all these slides to you, but I just want you to hear how much infrastructure there is. You know, we're a city, but we're a county. I mean, we are a big, large area. 43,000 manholes or basins out there, 15 stormwater pump stations, 38 dams and spillways, and 448 lakes and ponds. And those are just lakes and ponds that the city's responsible for maintaining. There's probably another 500 that are privately owned throughout the city, either by the residents or condo associations or businesses or that type of stuff. So people want to know where do we get our funding from? The enterprise was set up in 1993. Am I blocking you all? Kind of walk back and forth. Was set up in 1993, the utility fund. It's just like Public Utilities has a utility fund. We're a utility fund. To be able to handle how the funding occurs, every residential house is considered an ERU, equivalent residential unit. But for commercial, you have to have a way to be able to figure out how they would pay also. And so it was figured out that your impervious area is what you pay for. So 2,269 square feet of impervious area equals 1 ERU. And the next slide, I'll show you how we build based on an ERU. So if you're, say you're Lynn Haven Mall, you would take your impervious area divided by the 2,269, and that would give you how many ERU, equivalent residential units, and then that would be times the basis and how it goes. City service gets it, and a lot of people get upset because they say our water bill is really expensive. Well, there's a lot of things on your water bill. Your water bill is the stormwater, it's monthly, it's the water, it's the sewer, and then it's also waste management. So there's 4 things coming in on your water bill, and that's why your water bill is up there. And I live in Virginia Beach, it's up there for me too. It's up there for all of us. And then for private development, we'll say you're Lynn Haven Mall again, because they have B&Ps on their property, they can get a reduction in their how much they pay for the stormwater because they're maintaining their own systems on site, and so there's some credits for that. So this is, like I said, equivalent residential. So it's right now it's for FY19 is 45.8 cents. Council has approved, and so the next 4 years it's going up $0.015 per year. So in FY23 it will be 55, and then you can see what the monthly rate is currently. What's that? $13.93 for the average month, because it is by the day. So you actually pay a little less in February or in March, say. But and then your yearly is $167.17, and in FY23 it will go up to 203. In, what was it, 2 years ago, council approved 1 penny from the real estate tax. So 5.5 million comes in also. And then just on the bottom, I kind of showed you just how it's been increasing. And so it was 9 cents back in 93 when it first started. That's what they had set it for. And this is just showing how the revenue and what it generates for us. FY08, for example, because I knew we weren't going to be able to see the numbers, 15 million, and FY19 is 42 million. Now keep in mind, for us, they also bond a lot of what we do. We bond based on what we've already built, and that starts going over my head because I'm an engineer, not a business one, so you guys probably better understand it than I do. But using that bonding, we can leverage for our projects. So just like you buy a house and have a loan, a lot of our projects get funded from bonding, which then helps us to do projects quicker. To explain, excuse me, we are 3 different divisions, sections, is how we handle it. Flood control is what I concentrate in, and it gets about 46% of the annual funding coming in. Water quality and regulatory compliance, complying with EPA, and I'll talk a little bit more about that, it's about 19%. And maintaining the existing systems that are out there and the new systems that my group builds and turns over to operations gets 35%. And the number below that, that's based on 6 years. We use 6 years to do our funding allocations, and that council only approves the first year, but you got to know where you're going. So the next 5 years are for us to forecast and look at how things will move forward. And that's given those splits there. And like I said, we're water quality, we're flood control, we're operations and maintenance. We overlap in each other. We work hand in hand. We get together all the time and talk about how we're handling things and how we work together. So kind of use that to just show to people. This I just wanted to show. These are the current projects in the CIP in this year's cycle, and they're spread throughout. And you can see throughout the dots throughout the city. We hit projects throughout the city. Talking a little bit about operations and maintenance. We take a look at the pipes, we maintain the channels, we've got pump stations, we do dredging in ponds and also in the canal systems, and then the storm drain inlets themselves. So, and this is just, again, showing you that infrastructure we have. This is kind of a split of operations and maintenance and water quality. What we showed council last year, this is what's approved. So FY19 we're in right now, and here's where the funding's being distributed. And then for the 6 years, the 51 and the 95 million that we talked about. And I'll get into some of these projects. So stormwater, 5.75 million gets dedicated to infrastructure and rehabilitation. Our pipes, I'm trying to put all these thoughts together. Our pipes are aging, and so we're getting roots growing into it, we're getting pipes are failing, we're getting dirt falling into it, and that reduces the capacity that they can drain at. So we look at information of where are we seeing sinkholes, where are the citizen complaints showing, where have we experienced. This information, we pull it together, and then they assess it, and they use that to prioritize what the next projects will be. When we do it, we go ahead and clean the pipe, then run a camera through the pipe so we can video and see how the conditions are. But the bulk of this money goes into, after we clean the pipe, we've got to be ready to go repair the pipe. Because when the cleaning goes through, it's jetting water to clean things, and when we find those problems, we typically have removed the dirt or have removed the roots and that are coming through. And if we don't jump on repairing the pipe within about 6 months, we're going to have sinkholes just popping up everywhere in the neighborhood. So we might have thought it was bad with the sinkholes before, but once we clean that pipe, it's really bad. He assess it and makes decisions. Do we want to do what we call a point repair and dig right over where the problem is and go down and repair that pipe? Can we go ahead, we call it slip lining. We can pull basically like a straw, we can pull a sleeve through it, and then we use air or water to blow it out. That activates a glue and it sticks to the inside of the pipe, and it can really add another 50-year longevity to the pipe system. So there's different ways for us to repair the pipe. And so that's it. And like I said, 5.75 million a year is dedicated to that.
There's a mint there on your table if you want one for your throat.
Thank you. So Lake Canal and ponds, this is what they completed last year, what they're working on currently. Okay, this year, 2018 into 2019, 4.9 million a year is used for it, and it's dredging. Our pond's silted, and so we want to get that silt out of there. It handles it provides a couple different things. One, it provides more water quality, and two, it helps the flow drain better through the system. Right now, okay, there we are. We're currently on a 95-year cycle, which it's not the best. I mean, but I think we were at 200 or a 500 year. So definitely the funding is helping, and that's why you always hear us asking for more money.
No, I'll never have to work on it.
Primary system infrastructure. We have a lot of roadside swales and off-road ditches, and we were on a 16-year with a new infusion of money about 4 or 5 years ago. We were striving to get it to an 8-year. We have a lot of trees and a lot of growth in there. We've got it to 12-year, but we really are excited and hope that over the next 8 years, we'll get it down to 8-year as we're managing these canal systems better. I tell people as you drive along the road, you'll look to the right and go, wow, I didn't even know we had a ditch or a canal there. And that's because our guys have gotten out there and cleaned the ditches and all. This is slow moving for multiple reasons. One, we have to get environmental permits in a lot of these cases, and so we really have to explain why we want to do this and what we need to do. It's not just, we just jump right out there. We have to work with the different agencies, DEQ, Department of Environmental Quality, and the Corps of Engineers are the big ones. If we're close to the waterway, then Virginia Marine Resource Commission is also in there. Those are the big three we talk about. We submit, we call it a joint permit application. We submit to the three, and they figure out which one is controlling the most on it and help us through the process. Our pump stations, like I said, we have 15 stations. This is an order of what we're repairing. Our pump stations are very mechanical. They need assistance. So we have some older stations, and that's what we're working on improving to keep those operational and going. And then we have $1.25 million a year we allocate to maintaining them. And the last one, we don't think about it. We enjoy the boardwalk, we enjoy the dunes, but we did cost participate with the Corps of Engineers to build those. And there's a maintenance responsibility for maintaining those. So as much as we think of them as recreational, they also are stormwater protection, and we have a responsibility. We spend about $1.6 million a year to maintain that. And so you can see there's sealing the joints, there's slab repairs, there's boardwalk repairs, and even the stair nose, that metal, that sand and salt is just really abusive, and so that even needs repairing. Moving into water quality, I'm not as, what should I say, I'm not as versed in this, so I'll try I'll try to give some of the basics, but if you got the tough questions, I'd say, can we get Melanie or one of the guys and gals in her group to come out and talk to you some on that, or just get you a call in on that. But water quality does two things. Regulatory, the EPA with the Clean Water Act has enforced a lot of things, and so we are doing improvements to try to improve that. Sir, can you help the man out? Or can somebody? Oh, certainly. Thanks, John. I'll keep going. So, water quality, we all want water quality. I think we should feel really happy. Our city has always been proactive about water quality. We have a lot of BMPs throughout for all of our developments. We've been one of the more proactive, even from the 80s, doing things. I'll give a big shout out to our public utility system and to this to the whole city. We made it a point to take care of all the septic systems throughout the city and connect them up, and all the little small septic neighborhood systems through the last 30, 40 years. Public utilities has bought all of those and brought them onto it. That's significant because we were getting overflows, we were getting sanitary discharges going out into the Lynn Haven. It really has helped us. And so, you go to a lot of other areas and they just haven't made that commitment yet. It's a financial commitment, yes it is, but I think it's a positive one. But the MS4, and okay, it's not showing it. The MS4 is one of the permits. It's the way we manage stormwater. So you want to manage stormwater, not only how much is being released so you don't flood people downstream, but you also want to manage it water quality. In water quality, typically your bacterium that is sticking to sediment, so that's why you hear everybody always wanting to grab the sediment, use different ways to slow the flow down so that sediment can settle out. But you also got heavy metals in there and other things. They talk about the phosphorus and the nitrogen, and there's different ways to pull that out of the system. The problem with stormwater is when it rains, it's a big slug of water draining through quickly. It's not like, fortunately for the sanitary department, it's a slower flow. They can run it through and they can treat it better. So like I said, water quality, they kind of divide the city up into a couple different regions. The Chesapeake Bay, what's drained to the Chesapeake. Now you could even subdivide it because there's what drains into the Elizabeth River and then drains out through Norfolk. And there's what directly drains into the Lynn Haven River and drains out through the Lesnar Bridge. There's a little bit right along the Atlantic coast that drains directly out into the Atlantic Ocean. And then we have the southern rivers and what drains to the south and into Back Bay or North Landing River and down into the south. What's it? The Currituck and that. Sorry, drawing a blank on that of those, but drains into those. All right, and this is just some water quality. When we did a no discharge in the Lynn Haven River, nobody had really thought about it. We jumped right on it, and the state let us shut down. I know